What's going on, YouTube? So we are looking at a 2007 Volvo S80 V8. So I believe this is like a Yamaha partnered endeavor between Yamaha and Volvo. It's kind of a nice looking engine when everything's all together and working right. But the issue with this one was the power steering pump is squealing, and you can't actually see a power steering pump right now because it's over there, right there, and kind of a sad story here. So figured out how to, in order to get to the power steering pump on this thing, or in order to get it out, this intake cover has to come off. And so, when it was squealing away and it was running, leaking fluid, well, I don't know if you can tell, but it looks kind of wet all sort of around this area where the pump was, right? So there's a couple common issues with these things that can lead to power steering pump failure, according to the YouTubes and the internets. And one of those things is little chunkies of hose clogging up the low pressure, just the reservoir, right? So and so this is what one of those reservoirs looks like, and just sits right here, right? So I guess, again, one of the problems that can happen is these, the little hoses that feed this can deteriorate, little chunks get in there, clogs up the system. Then the power steering pump, when it's trying to suck the fluid, can't. Maybe the thing overheats, maybe it, gets a little bit starved of fluid. Maybe gaskets start getting messed up on it. So it can cause damage to the pump, but sometimes just the issue itself is just in one of these. Well, that wasn't the case on this one. We cut open the old one, even though it probably wasn't necessary to do it, because I didn't really understand the concept of how it worked. So I believe, now that I've thought about it a little harder, I believe that that the fluid is, pulled through the middle and enters back in through this big one. So I think if there's any debris, I think you're going to see it on the outside. I didn't really know that before. I guess I could have researched it, and I'm still just kind of guessing, but I'm pretty sure that's how it works. But regardless, we opened up the other one, and there was no debris in there whatsoever. It was totally clean. And once we got this manifold cover off, which in order to do that, you have to take off the air box, and you have to do this little kind of lift and pivot motion in order to disconnect this PCV valve hose, which you can see is brittle on here, and there's a good chance you'll have to replace it if you do the same thing. So there's a couple little hoses that are really tough to get to, little coolant lines and things like that go into the throttle body here. A whole bunch of little connectors. But anyway, and then you got a couple little lines here and here that you got to disconnect. Overall, it's really not too bad, other than the weird kind of, lift and tilt sideways to get this cover off. But anyhow, at this point, we're still thinking, okay, it's probably this pump, right? So I'd ordered a gasket kit, which was about $15, because I thought that maybe the pump had just started leaking. Well, the pump actually looks pretty dang good. And let's see if I can open it with one hand. I'm not sure if I can here. because it's already taken all apart. So anyway, me and my neighbor are talking, and we're looking at this pump, and he's like, "Oh, I don't think I trust it. I think I want a new one." And we're kind of debating. And while we're doing that, I do the one thing that you're really not supposed to do, and I turn this thing upside down. And in the act of doing that, I caused a number of these little, oh shoot, what do you call them? These little blades. That's not the technical term for them, but I caused some of these little blades to dislodge and fall out right here on the mat. And then I realized I'd probably made a huge mistake, because I didn't know how the heck these things were supposed to go back in. And so, now that said, I did some research, and I think I figured out the way they're supposed to go. And so I'm going to show you that, and you almost need magnification to be able to see it, but there is a curved side on each of these little blades, and there is a rounded side. And so the more rounded side is supposed to go towards the exterior edge, and the flatter, less rounded side is supposed to go inward towards the center. And then you'll notice that now the way that this pump sits in, the drive belt drives it this direction. And so if you look at one of these little blades, which the actual term for them still hasn't come to me. So you'll notice that there is a kind of long ways little witness mark. Now, I don't know for sure if the witness mark is caused by the pressure of the rotation and just the mark and the little bit of wear that it puts on these, or if it was intentional by the manufacturer. But what I've done is I've got it so that all of those witness marks are now oriented facing that direction. So this side is pushing on those witness marks, and then again, rounded side out, flat side in. So I've got it all put back together, and the saddest part of this whole thing is I have a feeling this didn't even need a rebuild kit, so it didn't need to be open. Because one of the things that we noticed was that this serpentine belt had a little bit of wear on it. A little bit, just a little bit frazzled, or whatever you want to call it, on the end. Well, we thought, well, while we've got this much apart, might as well look at doing a serpentine belt on it. They're about $30-40. Might as well do it. Well, then I start staring, and I'm like, and I'm just thinking to myself, I wonder how on earth they keep that hose, which is connected to, this is the high pressure side of that pump. It sits right here in the pump. And I'm asking myself, I wonder how they keep that line from touching that serpentine belt. And I'm looking closer, I'm like, there is quite a bit of fluid on that serpentine belt. Well, take a little mirror, and come to find out, the answer was they didn't keep that serpentine belt from touching this line. And there is actually a point where it's totally worn through. And so I think over time, and if you look at the actual manufacturer part number, which ordered for this, there is supposed to be another collar similar to this, and it looks like there's a point down here that mounts to pull that over to the side. And it looks like just over time, this being, you know, somewhat loose and not secured away from the serpentine belt, just over time wore a hole in that thing. So now it looks like potentially there's, at least initially, there was nothing wrong with that water pump. Maybe there is now, or not, I'm sorry, not water pump, power steering pump. But it's solely just a break in that hose. And that, unfortunately, is like about a $350 part. It connects up to other steering parts down the line. And so what I'm gonna do, just to kind of test a couple of things, so I'm going to put this all back together. Ordered new intake manifold gaskets just since we were in this area. Got a new hose for the PCV. Still going to do a new serpentine. But temporarily, what I think I'm going to do is see if I can't use some of this F4 tape, which I used to use when I was in the military working on aircraft avionics. I never actually used it for repairing aircraft avionic hydraulic lines, but I think the reason this stuff got the nickname like F4 tape is because that's what it was used for, was to repair hydraulic lines on aircraft. And so the stuff can hold like 950 psi, and so I'm hoping if I double it up a little bit, that it can hold the, you know, 1,000, 1,200, 1,500 psi that that the high pressure line for that power steering pump puts out. So I'm going to tape it up. I'm going to put this guy back together and hope that all the blades, you know, are oriented the right way, you know, based on how I told you I put them back in. And probably put in the new gaskets here, and this big one here, a couple other places just for farts and giggles, and see if hopefully we don't actually need a new pump after all. So that's the plan. So hopefully it works.